Welcome to Education 360, your gateway to education that is inclusive, holistic, and empowering.
Hi, my name is Sofia. Welcome back to another episode of our Sixth Form Radio, where today we'll be talking to some Year 13 pupils about their Year 13 pathways. So could you guys introduce yourselves, your name, your pathway that for your future, such as the uni you're applying to in that?
So hi, my name is Samah and I'm in Year 13 and I want to study dentistry, hopefully in the UK.
I'm Isabella and I'll be studying chemical engineering in the UK, hopefully Bath or Imperial.
Hi, my name's William and I'm looking at studying physics in the UK, hopefully Durham, maybe Exeter, we'll see.
And about your pathways, could we, before I move on to the future, obviously, because I'm sure you guys are quite slightly anxious about it maybe, are there any tips that you could share with Year 12 pupils for studying or any exam pressure that you've experienced over the course of your sixth form?
So I think the most important thing to do is try and keep calm. Always know that there's a solution to any problem you might face. So okay, maybe on the day of the exam you might end up being so nervous and you end up not doing as well as you could have. There's always a reset that you can do that can help bump your grade up. Or for example, if you think that you did bad, but sometimes it ends up being okay. Sometimes the grade bound, everyone found it bad and graded boundaries end up being really low. So everyone does more okay. So I think just keeping in mind that things will turn out okay is really important, and it's really helpful, I think, to have that in mind.
Yeah, I agree. I think in our psychology exam in GCSE, we all walked out of the exam thinking it was the worst thing in the world. We hadn't done line markers, but in the end, we all ended up doing really well. And because everyone found it bad, so then grade boundaries went lower. So you really never know how it's don't overthink. Once you've done an exam, as hard as it is, just leave it, because you still have more exams, and even if you did mess up, you don't want that to affect everything else that you're going.
And you can always retake it.
Yeah, there's always a second option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think once you sit your exam, it's better to leave it behind. Obviously, it's going to still be in your head because it's at that point probably the biggest thing you would have done. But it's good to leave it behind because there's nothing you can do once you've sat the exam. And it's the best thing is preparing for it. And then once you do it, focus on the next exam, leave that behind you, and into the future.
And move forward. And speaking of moving forward, the university applications which have been done now, you're going to move forward in your future. And can I just ask, is there anything that about going to university or the uncertainty in the next year that makes you maybe a bit nervous, or what would you not expect of the unit?
Yeah, so I'm looking at taking a gap year first before going straight to the university. I think I'm one of the only people, if I'm the only person in my year, in Year 13. For me, it's just kind of getting used to life in England. I'm going to take on a job, kind of get more of an idea of what I want to do in the future. And that'll be something which I'm a bit nervous for, but at the end of the day, it'll be all right.
And can I just ask, what made you realize you wanted to take a gap year?
Well, it's a bit of a bunch of things. I kind of looked at going back to the UK, and I was comparing me to someone else who's lived in the UK the whole life. We've lived complete different lives, pretty much. I'm an expat student living abroad is very different.
It's a big change.
Yeah. So I'd like to have kind of I think a buffer's the wrong word to use, but a year where I can get used to living in the UK.
And just adjust. And speaking of which, are you guys any big changes for you that you're worried about, or?
I mean, yeah, if you've lived with your parents for 18 years, and I lived in the UK, but I was 8 when I moved here. So it's been quite a while living, and we sort of live in a bubble here. It's very, very different to living back in the UK. So William said, it's just living with your parents for 18 years, and then you have to go alone. Most likely, you might not be in a city with family. You probably would not end up with a friend. You'd be very lucky if you ended up with a friend at uni. So just adjusting, you're going to a city where you know nobody, And it's just adjusting to the fact that, oh, you're just going to have to make your friends, and like it will be hard, like, you know, without a family.
You're kind of like on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And just to add on, like, I feel like since we're going to be so far away, because at least like the rest of my family is going to stay here in Qatar, then I'm going to go to the UK. There's nothing that we can do to bring us closer in like a couple seconds. Like, obviously we can call, we can, you know, video chat, but it's not the same thing as being with your family, like in the same room. And the fact that we're going to not have that control over, if you want to see them, you can, just like right now. I think that's going to be something that's going to be hard for me to adapt to. But like my 2 older brothers have done it, and I'm sure it'll be okay.
You can do it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like a rite of passage, yeah. And speaking of which, like, you guys all want to study very like specific subjects, and I was just wondering, regardless of when you'll start or anything like that, what made you realize that that was what you wanted to do in life? Because it's quite a hard thing to do. Like, I myself, I'm not really sure yet. So just what was the moment you kind of just realized it?
I think it all starts with what subjects you like. And I know some people have very, very like wide, like broad subjects. Like, I'm someone that I love the art, I love the sports, I love the science. Like, and then I realized that, well, I want to do science. And it's sort of just talking to people, looking online, work experience, I think. I think we all did some work experience. It's really important. And the school like helps encourage us to also do it. So then I guess I just went off. Initially I was like, oh, let's look at like working in labs and stuff. And I did some work experience, realized it wasn't for me. And then through that I discovered, like, I worked with my aunt's a dentist, so I went and worked with her. And I realized I actually really liked it. And it was something I didn't have in mind initially, but I think work experiences.
That's one of the key factors.
Yes.
Same, I also did work experience, and I guess I'm the opposite because I really loved working in the lab. I wasn't like doing the experience myself. I was like shadowing a master's student, but I really, really enjoyed it. And before the internship, I had plans of like maybe working as like in the industry, you know, like whether that be like in the energy industry, or like pharmaceuticals, you know, I don't know. But now like that research side of chemical engineering is more of a possibility for me now than before the work experience. So the work experience was really, really like eye-opening, and it helped me realize like so many things.
Yeah, and like you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
I get that. And you?
Yeah, so for me, unlike Isabella and Samah, when choosing my degree and doing work experience, I didn't kind of connect those two. I never, when picking physics, I never thought I want to have a career in this. I mean, it could be a possibility still, but I want to take physics because I like the subject, and that's why I ended up picking it. I think when I first looked at subjects to do at uni, I was looking more into what would give me a good job, what would make me money, and less what would I actually do and enjoy for 3 years or even more of my life. I mean, 3 years is a long time.
Yeah.
So I think if you pick something which you really like, then you'll get through those 3 years and it'll be the best time of your life. But if you don't like it, then you're going to struggle.
Yeah, and I mean, also going to university is not the end of your pathway. You know, there's so many fields you can go into with any of your degrees, which is also like what is really good about it. And I was just wondering, in terms of like preparations for the future, how do you find that, like sixth form and the school, like the opportunities they've given you, has that like helped you prepare like the life skill lessons and the kind of, you know, has that helped in any way?
I think the life skills sessions that I think was introduced this year, was it? Yeah, this year. I think they've been really good. Like we did cooking, and recently we just did self-defense. And I think these things are super important. And the sessions themselves that have been organized have been like really, I think, well thought out. And they definitely will help us when it comes to moving away and living alone.
Yeah, because changes drastically.
I think like we do life skills, which is really good, although they are a short amount of time. Like we have double lessons to do it.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's a very good eye-opener to realizing like, oh, we did the cooking, we were given a budget, and we realized like, wow, I actually have to buy under like a very expensive. Yeah. We're like, okay, so we had to buy under, I think they gave us 50 riyals to cook for 4 people.
Oh.
So realizing, well, like, okay, like it was just an eye-opener to be like, okay, when I go to uni, I have to think about actually, what am I spending my money on? Because it's it's not the same luxuries like when you live here.
You become like really responsible.
Yeah,
for
it's
yourself.
independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big eye-opener doing these life skills sessions, but they were good fun. Cooking, there were a few stories of people messing up, but they were all very fun, and it's great to know what you may have to improve on before you
You've like learned from it at least. Yeah. And also like moving on from that, in terms of like the school life balance, because we all have a lot of like hard exams coming up, how do you guys like maintain that? Do you have like passions outside of school that you focus that you can take the stress out from, or anything? Whoever. Yeah.
I mean, initially, we do after school clubs. So like I did netball, I did volleyball, and all like the sporty activities. And I think that was just nice. After school, you get to spend time with friends and take time off studying. But then as like we get into study leave, I honestly think like even just, I know sometimes it's hard to go out with friends if we're all studying, but just chatting to friends, calling them sometimes, or going down and talking to my family. Like I also play the piano, just small things like that, like little things. I know some people like going on walks, so just little things. I think it's harder during the study leave period because everyone's studying, so actually going out with friends might be really hard. But just like even keeping in contact and texting, that takes my mind off.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Providing.
Yeah, I think 30 minutes a day at least, especially during exam period, is so important to just keep your mind off exams, because eventually it does get overwhelming. All these exams, I mean, in my final year, how many exams do I have? 8, 9? But if you're sitting GCSEs or even AS levels, you're looking at so many exams in such a short time period, and you just have to make sure you don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I think spending that little time away from your exams, either with friends or doing something you like, it's really important.
Yeah.
I think sometimes maybe during study leave, when you can find gaps in like your friend groups exams, maybe like you have 2 or 3 days off together, organizing maybe something together weeks before will be a motivator for you to make sure you study, get your studying done before, and have that as like a marker as like, okay, I need to have this much done by this day so I can go and be calm and like not be worrying, but also like enjoy myself with my friends. I think that's really great. And then also I think sport is always a great way to get your mind off things, especially sport outside. Like sometimes I play paddle with my family, and that's always fun. It's only an hour usually, but it's always so fun, and it completely gets my mind off studying. It's always great.
Well, amount of time that just helps you probably do better in the exam.
Yeah.
So less stressed, you're not comparing yourself to other people.
Exactly.
And do you find studying in like at home is better, or like at the library, for example, with friends? Are you more productive with other people or alone? What do you guys think?
I'm more productive by myself at home. I don't go to the library to study, but that's just me. We have a couple of friends who do go, but I can't do it. I definitely get distracted, so I know I have to probably stay at home.
Like discipline yourself.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the person. Like I'm a very chatty person, so if I end up going to the library, I'm just going to talk to people. So I find it better at home. And then, like Isabella said, for example, if you put like a target where you finish things, and then I know after I finish, I get to go see my friends or talk to my friends or do something. But I know some people get motivated by being around others that are studying. So I think it depends on the person.
Yeah, it's whatever motivates you to study. For me personally, it's being by myself studying. I do get distracted if I have more people there, but if it helps you study, then by all means, do it.
Yeah, I think it's important to hold yourself accountable, like to both know, like don't, just because all your friends are at home, don't force yourself to stay at home if it's better for you to go to the library. But even if all your friends are at the library, but you think it's better at home, don't force yourself to go. Yeah. So I think it's just making sure you're accountable, and
and being aware of yourself in that season. And with that, I mean, this discussion I think could be really helpful for anyone listening, for the year 12 pupils moving into year 13 and deciding like what universities to go through and their future pathways. And thank you guys so much for being here. It was a joy speaking with you guys all, and we'll see you guys in the next.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.